Hi guys, and welcome to MargaritaSays. I would like to ask you if you would like to live forever. We're going to talk about Aubrey də଼ɡreɪ, who's a brilliant man, very talented, and let me just say, I'm going to read it from Wikipedia because I can't remember it. He's an English author and theoretician in the field of gerontology. He has a PhD from Cambridge, I think, University, and he's a chief science officer at the SENS Foundation. That's his foundation that's dedicated to anti-aging programs. And we'll talk about it just a little bit later. But Aubrey də଼ɡreɪ believes that we can live forever. However, there's a lot of, that's such a catchy name. Would you like to live forever? And 60 Minutes, he was in magazines, and they used, there was a movie, Do You Want to Live Forever? And they used this topic, they used this title to describe Aubrey də́ɡreɪ, but it wouldn't be accurate. I saw a few videos of him talking about his program and what he's doing. And in fact, living forever is just more like a side effect. His main focus is on anti-aging. He believes like in 25 to 30 years, we will definitely discover how we can live a very, very long time. And he compares it to a vintage car, and think about of a car as you don't wait until it breaks down, but you slowly replace all the little parts. So it's called maintenance. So you maintain your car in a good condition, and a human body is a machine, and you also replace little small parts in the human body. But think about it on a much smaller level, like you would replace a cell or a certain gene at a certain time, one thing at a time. Aubrey thinks that old age is a disease, and that soon people will be able to live forever if they want to. But not only they will live forever, they will also be very young forever. And I think that's the main difference between, like, a lot of programs that described Aubrey də́ɡreɪ as he's going to make us immortal, but that's not his main goal. His main goal is anti-aging, because even though, let's say, you would live for 100 years, would you want to live 100 years where you live, up to 50 years, you live sort of okay, and then after 50, all the diseases start to come up, and you live the next 50 years from 50 to 100 in a fragile state. You take all these medications. Your brain is not at full capacity. Your creativity is not at full capacity. You can't do things that you used to do. You can't run because of your knees, and etc., etc. What he's saying that we can change that. Let's say you could live for 100 years, but you could be young. For that 100 years, you're going to be young, and you could do all the things that you love to do, and your body is not going to be sick, which is very important. And also the brain, meaning also the brain will be constantly regenerated. Therefore, there will be progress, because your brain will be regenerated to keep with time and with new technology, and your brain will be improved and upgraded just like we upgrade our computer. Therefore, with time, you will become smarter, more creative, more intelligent, more energetic, more innovative. Therefore, you will be making progress. So don't think about it like as living for 1,000 years where you're like in a fragile state and you just watching TV and play bingo and eat vegetables and that's all you could do. Think about it as you're going to be just the same young person, except you're going to have all the experience for living for 1,000 years, plus you're going to have the most innovative brain that's available at your time. So you will be just like all the young people that living with you. Aubrey də́ɡreɪ started out as a computer scientist, and he met his wife, who's about 15 years older than him, and actually she was the one to introduce him to anti-aging, and she's a geneticist. In the movie that recently I saw, Do You Want to Live Forever, they said that maybe it's a love story, and his wife is older and he wants to make his wife live a long time because he loves her. Well, I think that's definitely part of that. I definitely think anti-aging and diseases are something that could be prevented, and I think Aubrey is onto something. I definitely believe that we are not going to be the same human species as we are today. Even in 20 years, I think we will be able to live longer. So I'm gonna talk now about some objections to Aubrey dəɡɡreɪ. And the first one is progress. A lot of scientists believe that progress is built on funerals, meaning that old ideas and old people have to die and new people and new ideas have to be born. And that happens with rebirth and you know, the cycle of evolution, you know, everything is continuing. Well, one objection that Aubrey dəɡɡreɪ points out is that, once again, these are not going to be people that are going to be old. They're going to be people that, let's say, live 300 or 400 years, but they're going to be young. Their brain is going to be improved. They're going to be more creative, more energetic, more smart, and more brilliant. So these are not going to be old people. These are going to be people with the same brain capacities as the people that, let's say, were born 20 years ago. So therefore, they will be making progress because they will be very, very intelligent, more intelligent than when they were born. So because, like I said, their brain will be improved. Overpopulation, that's another objection to Aubrey. What about overpopulation? If everybody's going to live a very long time, we might not have enough resources. Well, he's saying that maybe that people who decide to live like 1,000 years, they cannot reproduce because it takes people to make people, and maybe people that want to live a long time, that's something they have to give up, as reproduction. They cannot have children, and then once they decide to have children, then they have to agree to die at some point. What about creativity? Well, it's the same thing as a progress. These people, even if it's an artist, it's not going to be artist who's old. It's going to be artist who's 500 years, but they're going to be young. It's going to be a 30-year-old brain, and it's going to be an actual brain, and it's going to be a brain that is very relative to the time that we're in. So it's going to be very smart, very creative person. Well, in the case, if Aubrey won't discover anything tangible, Aubrey's head will be frozen in cryonics for free. And, you know, obviously he said he doesn't want to be part of it, but that just in case, like a plan B. And I was reading a book by Christopher Hitchens on mortality, where Christopher Hitchens, when he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, he was contacted by many universities to freeze his brain. They were offering and they were begging him to freeze his brain, and he turned it down. Okay. And boredom. Another objection to Aubrey dəɡɡreɪ is boredom. Well, not everybody is bored. And once again, you know, some people might get bored and some people might not. Everyone is different. But for me, I think I would agree with Aubrey dəɡɡreɪ, where he's saying, well, what's the alternative? To lay in a grave being eaten by the worms? I mean, it's better be living than being in a grave. So I agree with that. And that's, to me, is just very simple and very clear, because what's the alternative to living is basically be buried. Okay. Well, Christopher Hitchens would probably disagree on this part, because he's saying that life is like a party and death is like somebody knocks you on the shoulder and says, well, you gotta leave. But not only you gotta leave this great party, the party will continue without you, and people are gonna have a lot of fun. So death is maybe kind of like that, and immortality would be like if you're at the party and somebody knocks on your shoulder, somebody taps your shoulder and says, well, you have to stay at this party forever. You can't leave. So that would be probably hard too. I mean, at some point you will get tired of the party. So I understand the boredom. I'm going to join Aubrey's foundation, and if you want to, it's SENS, SENS Foundation, and you can donate money, or you can volunteer, or if you are a med student, you can do research on anti-aging, and or you can donate your time, or you can become an advocate and educate other people. Once again, you know, it's not about living forever, and maybe we will live 300 years or 200 years, or maybe even 100, but it's going to be 100 good years. It's not going to be, we're not going to be dying from cancer or kidney failure or Alzheimer's. We're going to have, or Parkinson's. it's going to be good 100 years. And I think that's the quality of life, that where you could really do the things that you want to do, and you could really live to the fullest and enjoy life to the fullest. And I think that's where I agree with Aubrey dəɡɡreɪ. Thanks so much for watching.